Nic Arnzen lives in Altadena. That is basically the Pasadena community. He is also a member of the town council there. Nic, thank you for being with us as our coverage continues here on NewsNation. I was watching and looking at pictures of your home earlier today. You are among the many there in your community that I believe has little to nothing left.
That's correct. That's what our home looked like not too long ago, and I think you'll probably see next I wouldn't get anybody else interested in visiting their homes because it's too dangerous, but I was doing an interview nearby and just had to pop in. There's nothing. And you mentioned the deaths. Let me just hit home with the fact that the deaths that they're reporting, you can see in the rubble, there's no way they know who's in a home. The captain of the sheriff's station told me the only reason they could identify that there was a body was finding someone who perhaps had a hose still in their hand or had stumbled out of their home. Anybody who's in a home has still yet to be found. And I was just faced with the question, Nick, where do we submit our missing people? And, in 48 hours, that hadn't occurred to me yet. Of course, that's going to be coming in.
How often have you heard that question, Nick?
I just heard it for the first time in an hour, which hit home thinking, of course, now people are realizing I can't get a hold of my neighbor. I can't get a hold of my grandmother. I can't get a hold of this person. I'm just grasping that whole thought process now. So, of course, I have to make a list of what I need to answer for residents. And that, of course, goes right to the top of my list. Hadn't even thought of it. There's so many other logistics. And I'm sure I'll hear it a lot.
As I mentioned, you're a member of the town council, and it strikes me, Nick, that you feel it is incumbent upon you to answer for your residents and to keep a list like that, which is horrifying. And have you processed yet, as the more questions come in, what happens next, or really not even being able to answer that?
I'm someone who just tries to live in positivity. And so answering that question is easy. I immediately go to a place it's hard looking at the images because I don't want to say I've been avoiding them, but I've been trying to think about what we're going to do out of this. I almost immediately went there, which can be annoying to some people. So yes, I've taken into consideration how Altadena can be rebuilt, can learn from this. We just the council had just sent a unanimous recommendation to approve, the board of directors to approve a West San Gabriel Valley area plan, which included decreases in density and better fire prevention. Of course, that was just approved and hasn't gone into play. So yes, I'm thinking about the future. I'm thinking about a rebuild where we learn and become a community that's more ready than any other community for a fire of this magnitude. It wouldn't stop it, but man, if we would have just had 6 months to a year to get some of those things in place, we might have prevented some of this devastation, but we were working on it. We just didn't have it in place yet.
I was born and raised in South Florida, Nick. So I grew up exposed to hurricanes, and you see the devastation in hurricanes, and oftentimes people wonder, why would you ever want to live there? And now there's going to be questions going forward of when all of this is done, how do they rebuild, and why would they want to live there? And to folks who see these images and see what you're going through, you would answer how?
It takes some resiliency. I just ran into two neighbors at the evacuation site an hour or so ago. The first thing they said to me is, we're going to Arizona. We just, and look, how I would answer is, you're going to Arizona, what will you face there? You're going to Florida, you're leaving Florida. My answer is that what you're witnessing and what's been happening around the world, whether you believe in climate change or what's happening, there's real evidence, right? So I'm not trying to make this something about climate change, but I would say the answer to that is, no matter where you go, this type of devastation is going to follow you. I came from Iowa. Tornadoes are more frequent. Oklahoma. Anywhere you go, climate change is catching up to all of us. So if you can make your town resilient, and if you can stay where you're at because you have a love for what that place is, We have mudslides, we have earthquakes, and we have fires.
Right.
Any other place in the nation, they can list to you about their floods, their hurricanes, their winter storms that are brutal. Their summers that kill people. I lived in Chicago when we had a heat wave.
Right.
This happens everywhere. You just got to hold on to what you love about that area and how you can protect yourself, and then in the bigger picture, how we can all move forward.
Thank you for watching, and make sure you go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.